Hi, TIP English students and hi, ELEKTRO English students. Here we are in session 1 and the 4th week. It's time to start learning irregular verbs. Every week I'm going to give you a set of 5 irregular verbs which you need to learn, memorize how to conjugate. You can see here this week it's under Learn These Irregular Verbs. And then I have a link to a website which will help you learn how to conjugate. So let's take a look at that link right there. Just click on that link and you come to this website here, Irregular Verbs Spelling Test. Now you might already know how to conjugate these verbs. What do I mean, conjugate? Well, after you learn how to conjugate, how to bøye these verbs in the past, simple past, and the perfect tense. And you're going to go to this irregular verb set exercise 1 on its learning. So I want you to do this irregular verb set 1 on its learning. Let me show you that. So here on its learning under resources, you have the irregular verb exercises. So if you just click on that, you'll see we'll have the sets for each week. Right now we have irregular verb set 1. Well, basically you click on there. I say before you take this test, you need to learn how to conjugate. Bøye. Put the verb to be, which is the infinitive form, into the simple past. I was very lucky yesterday. They were also very lucky. And then been. That takes have been. They have been very good friends of mine. So you need to know for those 5 verbs how to conjugate them, bøye, in the different tenses. So before you start this test, maybe it's a good idea to come to this link where I click on these regular verbs and I say under select list, choose custom. Okay, so click on that link and you'll come here. So here you have all the verbs. Right now they give you just 1 to 10, but under this quiz here you can click all the different tests where they divide them up into 10 verbs in each test, but I've picked out the verbs that are most central to TIP and ELEKTRO, working on a ship, working in the workshops. So I've sort of, out of these 168 verbs, picked about 54 of the most central verbs that I think that you're going to be using in your work. So click on custom and then you can pick which verbs you're going to study. So here we go. We have be, become, begin, bend, and bet. So here we have be, become, begin, bend, and bet. Those are our 5 verbs of the day. We're going to save selection and then begin our quiz. Okay, so the base form, that's the infinitive. You can listen.
Be.
Be. They want be. Okay. And then simple past.
Was, were.
That's was and they want were. So it's not a slash. They want a comma. Was, were. And then the past participle.
Been.
That's have been. Okay, so then you click down here and say next question. Yeah, and I got it right. Let's mess one up. Bet. So the base form,
Bet.
to bet. Okay, simple past,
Bet.
I'm gonna do betted. I'm going to use a regular ed. No, and then
Bet.
let's try that. It didn't like it. Review the error, click next question. So click the next question and they're going to give it to me again. I have one error. At the very end they'll give it to me again. So here's a way where you can listen and spell. It's pretty basic. You should know these verbs already, but maybe you don't know all the 54 I'm going to pick out. So you can use this website to study before you go and take this irregular verb set test. Make sure you're confident that you know these verbs before you take the test. It's more of an exercise. And then when you start the test, you'll have to pick, first of all, the right form of the verb, and then you'll have to write in the right form of the verb as well afterwards. Okay, but you know what's a really helpful thing? On the workbook, I have given you this on page 9, this how to learn the horrible list. And it's probably a good idea now already to group these verbs into patterns of how they are conjugated. You can see the first verbs here, the most important verbs, there's no pattern. You should just learn them. So to be was were have been, have, come, get. These are the verbs you use almost all the time. The second group, perception verbs, what you use when you smell, hear, and see. And then we have a third group here that doesn't change at all. So in the present tense, it costs so much money. Yesterday, it cost, and it has cost so much for so many years. It doesn't change at all. So you're lucky with those. It's just the infinitive and no change. But then you can see these different groups has had fourth all the way to the 12th group. They've grouped them as into the pattern of how they actually are conjugated. So, for example, begin, began, begun, it takes from a I to an A or a U. So began, begun, drank, drunk, ring, rang, rung, sing, sang, sung. So if you learn one, you've learned four if you just learn the pattern and know that these verbs group together in the way that they are conjugated. So the same thing with blow, draw, fly, blew, drew, flew, blown, drawn, flown. So you sort of get an idea for a pattern that happens in the different groups. It helps a lot if you're looking at all 54 of the verbs that I have for you over the next weeks. Okay, so I have given you the first 3 weeks here under regular verbs. So here again you have the infinitive and you have the present tense. So I am, he is, you are, he, she. Okay, and now down here we're just going to be the third person singular, he, she. And then you can give the past tense for the forms of the verbs and the perfect tense. Of course, you're going to have to look them up. If you don't know them already, you'll find a copy in your dictionary. So you should probably fill that out on page 10 for the next 3 weeks so you have a good idea of what's coming. And definitely take a look at this, learn how to learn the horrible list. Okay, so then when you're done with this video, I'd like you to go right on to Khan Academy and take a little 10-12 minutes basically and watch these 5 videos. And they're only like 2 to 3 minutes a piece, so it's not very long. It's basically an introduction to irregular verbs and showing you how they differ from regular verbs, and in English, how particular some of these verbs are in the way that they shift. Okay, so you've got 5 videos to take you about 12 minutes to watch those. So please do that when you're done with this video today, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you in class. Bye bye for now.